Hello, and welcome to our Oz Tantra webinar on exploring the G-spot. My name is Graham.
And my name is Annette, and we're from Oz Tantra, where we're passionate about helping people to create livelier, more productive relationships.
And tonight's topic is exploring the G-spot. What does it mean? What's it all about? And is it real? So these are things that we've found in our work and our experiences. So welcome.
Very much welcome. And I'm just thinking back to one of our recent retreats where you remember that scene from Thelma and Louise, where Thelma comes in after her night in the sack with Brad Pitt and is like, "Whoa, I think I've discovered what it's all about." And my sense is that part of what she may have discovered is her G-spot. Because
either that or she's had a really good time, which is incorporates the G-spot.
That's right. And often the G-spot is something that is not discovered early on in sexuality. It's something that you can be lucky and discover it early, but sometimes the G-spot actually requires awakening rather than just it being a more automatic response like the clitoris can be. And that can lead us to believe that it's not really there, it's not really real, or mine doesn't work, or any of those different beliefs that we can have around the G-spot. And that's really backed up by the medical industry, because often a doctor will tell you that you don't have a G-spot, that it's really just a myth. Other doctors will tell you that yes, you do. So that confusion can make it, when you take that into the bedroom unconsciously, can make it harder to believe in it and find it for yourself.
And for a man, being in a lovemaking situation with a woman who has a G-spot or would like to find that, it's about awareness and believing that it's real, it exists, and that you can find it, and it's a big part of lovemaking. And for men, it's believing that it's there, believing that it's real, and when you're looking for it, searching for it, activating it, or whatever, it's believing that it's there, and from that point you will find it, and it is real, and you can actually really connect with it. So it's real, and what we're talking about in this webinar, it does exist. So we'll delve deeper into this mystery.
What does it take to actually find your G-spot? And the first thing that it takes is actually believing that it's there, that you have one, and to understand that it's not just a physical spot. So it's not like your clitoris, that it's easy to see. It's actually, it needs to be awakened so that it's in the wall of the vagina, inside. We're usually roughly about a couple of centimeters inside your vagina, and until it's awakened or aroused, it can actually feel completely just like no different to the rest of the wall of your vagina. So it's important to understand, if you can't feel anything when you first go there, it's not because it's not there, it's because it's still needing to be awakened. And that's where the G-spot again is different to the clitoris, because it can take a little bit more time and a little bit more attention, and it's more of the part of a woman's sexuality that's a little more mystical, a little less mechanical. The clitoris is a little bit more known because it's on the outside, and we can usually, though not always, activate it with a bit of mechanical touching and rubbing, and we can have that kind of little peak orgasm, maybe 2 or 3 orgasms, and it's pretty much a known quantity. And when we start to explore the G-spot, it can feel a little bit scary, even because the sensation feels quite different. It can feel a lot more intense, and it can feel,
even uncomfortable.
Yeah, it can even feel painful when you first start to touch that area. Because as you will understand when you start to explore this part of you, is that the G-spot is the part of you in your body where you carry a lot of sexual, emotional pain around past unresolved, incomplete, unsatisfying experiences in sex, where you've kind of been left hanging on the edge, or you haven't got there, those experiences all the way through to sexual abuse experiences, and sometimes just you can carry in your G-spot those beliefs that you might have about being a woman, where being a woman is being secondary, or you're not good enough as a woman in who you are. So the G-spot's really a repository for all things that are related to yourself as a woman.
And as a man, you know, this is really important to understand, because part of learning about the G-spot and connecting that with your partner is actually seeing the bigger picture, and not just focusing on like what the clitoris is. The G-spot is very different, and like the G-spot incorporates all the energy points of a woman. Like it's when you're giving a woman an erotic massage, it's like starting at the extremities, the tips of her fingers, her toes, and slowly moving all the energy through massage into her sex center. With a man, it's the exact opposite. You start at the sex center and move the energy out through his body. So, you know, it becomes more of a full body experience. And with a woman, the center, when you bring the energy in, is to her G-spot. And when you're, as a man, when you're with your woman and you're actually starting to play this, it's like you've got to have a picture or an awareness that it's all of the body of the woman, that your partner's body that you're actually working with, not just one spot. And when you connect with the G-spot, it's after you've awakened her body and connected with her energy body. And you'll know this time. And when you do start to put your finger inside her, is to actually ask permission to actually do this. It might sound, you know, as a man, it might sound a little bit ironic that you're doing this, but it's really important, because part of the awakening of the G-spot is a process. It might sound, you know, practical and all that sort of stuff, but we're trying to put it in a way that you can actually start this process with your partner and actually start to really work towards awakening the G-spot. And it exists, it's real, but it doesn't happen easily or
doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen.
But it does happen.
Sometimes
and some women it does, and some women it takes a bit longer. And what we do in our couples work is that we actually teach the couples during the day how to do this, and then they go back to their room at night and practice, and then the next day talk about what happened or didn't happen, and we can actually coach them through this. And this is how we normally do it in our workshop space. But in this webinar, we'll quickly go through the process as we see it. And it might sound a little bit sort of like mechanical, but that's part of just explaining the process so you have an understanding. And the G-spot is actually inside the vaginal wall. It's not actually it's in the wall. So when you actually feel in first, you can't feel anything. And that's not unusual. So it's important to actually believe that it's there. You know, as a guy, when you put your finger inside, is to actually believe that that's where you're going, that's what you're going to find. And the easiest way to do it is when you put your finger in, is to put it in as far as you can and then up. That's the top of the wall if she's lying on her back. And that's about where it is. And you just keep moving your finger around very slowly and gently at first. And she'll tell you to put more pressure and just gently take it out. And this might take 10 or 15 minutes. Just do this with intent and presence. And if you don't feel anything the first time, that's okay. Go back and you can do this, you know, every day. You can do this, you know, leading into lovemaking or whatever. It's up to you guys how often you do it. But believing that it's there and putting your finger in there and actually just up to the top and just gently tapping or moving it around and communicating and asking questions. How does that feel? Can you feel this? If she says no, so push a little bit harder. And if your partner just starts to feel uncomfortable, irritable, you know, painful or whatever, that means you're getting somewhere. And if she feels like she wants to go and have a pee, that's right on the money. That's where and usually the first sensation that a woman feels around touching a G-spot is that she wants to go and have a pee. And that's, you know, that's where it is. So it's what we're talking about here is mechanical, but it's the best way to get an understanding. And in your sex play, in your relationship play, is just say, well, we're going to do this and we're going to do it for 10 minutes a day or something like that, and set the space and actually just go and do it and just see what happens and see how it feels. And if you don't feel anything after a couple of times, that's okay. Just keep going, and maybe push a little bit harder. And the other thing too is that you can have the other hand, fellas, have your other hand on the outside, just above her pubic bone, and push down, and just imagine that your fingers are coming together like this. And if you really focus on your energy on touching her and pushing down on the outside, you actually, this hand on the top will actually start to put pressure on the top of the wall inside and push it out. And the other thing too, while you're doing this for the woman too, to actually do some PC squeezes while you're actually doing that, because the PC squeeze will push the G-spot out, push it down, or put pressure on it. So it's just a combination of these things. And you know, if nothing happens after a couple of times, maybe just a little bit more pressure until you can actually feel something, whether it's uncomfortable or intensity. And sometimes that intensity is pleasurable, sometimes it's not. If you feel pain, you know, like a sharp burning sensation, just stop and just hold the pressure there, and you know, after a few moments that'll probably pass, and then just keep moving. And the G-spot is an energetic place, and that it also does carry a lot of, you know, as Annette said, a lot of the wounds and hurts and pissed offness of, you know, stuff that's happened around your sexuality when you're growing up. So you know, feeling intensity of any description is good, and it, you know, if it's pleasure or pain or, you know, uncomfortable or wanting to have a pee, that's, you know, that's what it is. And for the first few times, the feelings might be uncomfortable. You might go straight into pleasure. Everybody's different, and you know, you've got to find your way, what works for you. So yeah, that's a simple way, a practical way to actually start the search of it for yourself. So.
So while Graham has given you the more practical tips on what to do when you actually get to the G-spot, there are some other things that you can also do before you get to that place, which was also what Graham was saying in the beginning, that part of what the G-spot is about, that is different to the clitoris, is that it's more easily accessed through a state of relaxation. It's more about the autonomic nervous system rather than the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is all about that nervous excitation, whereas the autonomic nervous system is more about a state of relaxation. And this is where the higher states of female arousal can really make a difference.
Very slow burn.
That's right.
Very powerful, but slow burn.
And fellas, or partners, it's really worth taking that extra bit of time here, leading in towards this part of a woman, doing those things like looking into her eyes, touching her in a more full-bodied way, a relaxed way, as if you have all the time in the world, giving her a compliment. And giving her a compliment may seem, is it, you know, just romantic claptrap, but it's not. It isn't that. It's actually the way to allow a woman's body to respond through her autonomic nervous system that actually allows her to relax and also allows her to feel safe. And feeling relaxed and safe is about the most perfect stage that you can set for your woman to really go to, that place that you are really excited about her potentially going to, and that she's potentially excited about going to as well, because it's that part where a woman's not just going for the peak cliff excitement, but she's actually looking to go to that place which is much more than that, which is really going to open up her heart, which allows the oxytocin to flood her system, not just the dopamine excitement chemical, but the oxytocin, which is about bonding and wanting more lovemaking. It's related to that part of a woman who really just wants a man to be inside of her. And so it's worth taking a little bit of extra time and understanding that what you're doing when you take those steps, it's not just being romantic, it's actually literally opening up her body by doing these steps that are a little bit further out, but are having an effect on her nervous system that allows her to really relax and allows her body to start opening independent of where she's at mentally. It can also, you know, just allow her to relax and open. And you can definitely start with some clitoral foreplay before you look at the G-spot. It's also important to not go all the way over the edge into clitoral orgasm, because that can sometimes just put you in a different space where you maybe not as interested in exploring the G-spot. So you can use the clitoris as an arousal, as a beginning place, and then
an entree.
An entree, that's right. And then taking the time to go that little bit deeper into the G-spot, as Graham was saying before. And understanding, it's really important to understand that because the G-spot holds the repository of unexpressed feelings and sometimes hurts and pains, that the G-spot, we sometimes like to also call it the E-spot, because it can hold a torrent of emotions in there sometimes, and it's often what a woman will shut down on. If she doesn't feel pleasure and she starts to feel emotional, she'll actually think, oh no, that's not right, I shouldn't be feeling this, and she'll clamp down on the emotion, and that will clamp down on her pleasure, because emotions are energy as well. So if you're wanting to open up the energy or the pleasure in your G-spot, you need to allow yourself to feel the emotion that's in that spot. So it's part of the awakening process, is letting go of that energy that's being held in your G-spot, so that you can open up to pleasure. And if it sounds like this is a big journey, a big exploration, it is so worth it, because it allows you to access almost mystical states. It allows you to have that experience of, this is really what life's all about. Colors are brighter, there's more gratitude, there's more willingness to want to make love again. And there's a lot more creativity. A woman who's had her G-spot awaken is likely to be much more creative in her life. A lot of famous authors have been in this position of having a new lover and having their creativity expanded exponentially through this experience. So it's a little bit more, takes a little bit more time, but guys, if you're willing to put in the effort, you will have a hugely grateful and rewarding experience with the woman that you're making love with, if you do take the time.
Yeah, and fellas, it's really important to hear what Annette said around taking the time and being present, and that as men we're very focused on, or very goal orientated, and our sexuality is very intense in the start, and with a woman, her clitoris is very similar to how we are, but the G-spot is very different. And if we're in too big a hurry, we miss a lot of the really good stuff. Both of us miss the good stuff. So as the guy in the situation, or your partner, is to really take the time to be present with, and really take notice of what's happening, and ask questions. How does this feel? What are you feeling like with this? And and be aware that as you're doing and touching the G-spot, and if it's something that maybe for the first time, that don't be surprised what comes out, what comes up. There might be an intense feeling of discomfort, or could be intense pleasure. And sometimes in the G-spot awakening, there's a lot of, as Annette said, there's a lot of emotion that comes out. Could be crying, could be anger, whatever. And if that comes up, your partner, if that's what comes up for her while you're doing this, is just simply stay present, stop, make sure you've got eye contact, and just be present with her. This place that's in your woman, sometimes awakening for the first time, a lot of stuff comes up, and it's really important to just stay with that and allow it to pass. It won't be there for very long. And if you stay present, stay eye contact, and keep touching the spot, and she'll tell you whether it's harder or softer. Just touch and stay present, keeping eye contact, and that energy will pass, because that energy there, particularly if it's sadness or anger or something like that, that's what's been blocking her. So you're actually really doing her a favor if this stuff comes up. And the most important thing is just to stay present, stay put, and just hold the space, and just let it pass, and it will. And it'll pass very quickly, and then you'll move on to a more deeper, more pleasurable place. And the G-spot is the repository for where there's a lot of blocks and barriers around pleasure and sexuality in a woman. And when you start touching it for the first time, or really being focused on touching it, a lot of this stuff may come up. and it's all good, all good. So if it happens, just stay present and just stay put, and yeah, keep eye contact and just keep talking. It is a team sport. So
because on the other side of this awakening of the G-spot, there is endless pleasure. The G-spot is not like the clitoris, because most women may be able to experience 1, 2, or 3 orgasms through their clitoris, but the G-spot, once it's awakened, can have endless orgasms. The only place that it ends is when the woman's physically had enough, and that can be spontaneously through lovemaking. Again, once the G-spot's awakened, it's not a myth about vaginal orgasms. The vagina isn't just a they used to say that because the vagina didn't have any nerve endings, that it didn't really feel anything. But that's absolutely not true. Once it's awakened, there are many sensations that can be felt through the G, and also even up through the cervix. There's also a spot around the cervix that can be totally orgasmic, and it's one of the reasons why it's really great to have a good kiss when you're making love. Early midwives used to encourage husbands to kiss their wives when they were wanting to support a woman to give birth, because it has a natural reflex that helps to allow the cervix to drop down and open. So lots of kissing is a great way to increase your pleasure.
And in lovemaking, when the G-spot's awakened in lovemaking, the G-spot and the cervix are about that far apart. And when you slide your lingam up in between, especially when in the missionary position, or when she's on top, sitting up on top, the lingam goes in between the two of them, and that, with the G-spot awakened, is very intensely pleasurable for both of you. Actually, it's a whole new experience in lovemaking when this starts to happen, because it's not just the same old. It's a very different sensation for both of you, and it's definitely worth persevering. It's definitely worth exploring, and it's definitely worth trying. And if you hit the wall or something like that, just send us an email, or just give us a call or something like that, because in our couples work, we do put a lot of emphasis on couples in their couples play, and we do teach couples workshop space all these skills, and we teach them in the workshops, and they go back to their room in privacy to actually experience. And it can be followed up with a phone call, or this happened, or this didn't happen, or what do we do in this? And it's something that once you start the journey and you realize where your blocks are, it doesn't take much to a couple of minute phone call sometimes is all it takes to just move past some of those blocks. And what we find is that this is a very powerful pleasure place, fun place to bring back into your relationship, because it really does have a huge impact on the longevity and the intensity of the pleasure in your relationship when this part of it comes into your lovemaking. It takes the boredom right out, and really important. And that's why we do put a lot of emphasis on this in our couples work, why we find it really important. And starting with this place, and then also teaching men the skills in how to last longer or feel more in themselves during lovemaking as well. So it's not just teaching the woman on how to activate a G-spot. It's also teaching men how to either last longer or feel more, or if you're having erectile problems or whatever, teaching the skills to actually feel more in this place. And what we find is that it brings a level of balance into a relationship that is absolutely beautiful. It's truly amazing to see this happen with couples, and we've seen it happen countless times. And we just can't talk highly enough about the importance of finding the G-spot and learning the skills. For guys, learning the skills to actually meet your partner and make love in this place. And if this is something that you've already got in your love play, it's a beginning. There's so much more. These are the skills that are not really taught. And what we've found is that there's a lot of sort of very general terms of saying it's amazing, it's there, but how do you get the amazing? How do you get there? What do you do next, and all that sort of stuff? And that's what we do is actually teach it in a way that's practical, that you can get a picture and understanding of what it is that's there and what you can aim for yourselves. And then what's next, and you've got a picture to look for yourself, because everybody is different, and every couple is even different again.
And every woman is different every time.
And you know, it's an amazing journey, an amazing place. The most important thing is to start, and you know, learning to find, you know, your G-spot and activate that. You can do it on your own. You know, use the vibrators and some of the toys. You know, they're designed for that.
A crystal wand called a honey dipper is also a very helpful tool. It can be a little more subtle than the vibrators. Vibrators can work very well, but a crystal wand can allow you to open up energetically, and it's because it's not so focused on just the orgasmic experience. It can allow you to access some of the more mystical states, I guess, the more profound experiences that are possible through your G-spot, because your G-spot is not just a physical mechanical spot, it is an energetic point, and it will open you up to a more energetic experience. And so the crystal wand can definitely help you with that. And you can also use your own fingers to play with your G-spot as well, depending on your particular, how your body shows up, the length of your fingers and exactly how far in your G-spot is. And also if you really practice on getting yourself aroused before you start playing with your G-spot can actually come down closer towards the opening of your vagina, so that can also
it actually moves around. You know,
it does move around.
It can be, you know,
slippery little sucker.
Yeah, it can be in one particular spot, and then you know, the next time you go there, it's in a slightly different place, or it's more pronounced or further away. And you know, but the most important thing is just, you know, assume it's there, and it's usually in that same area. And when it does start to come alive and activate, it becomes a harder lump inside, and you can actually feel it. And sometimes it's about the size of an almond with the raised lips, so it's sort of like converse in the middle, so the lips are sort of raised, and it can be about the size of an almond, and you can actually feel it and feel it quite pronounced. Sometimes next time you go there, you mightn't feel anything, and you might be touching it for, you know, a few minutes before it actually starts to come out. And you know, just, you know, for your partner, just to really believe that it's there and touch. And you know, the more that you go there, the more you touch it, the more alive it becomes, and the easier it is to be activated. And the more that it's activated, the more it comes into your lovemaking play.
And a couple of other things that is helpful to bring in activating your G-spot is, as you might have heard Graham say earlier, is about using your PC muscles, or pelvic floor muscles. Often we're taught pelvic floor exercises as a mechanical exercise to strengthen your muscles, but if you play with your squeezing and relaxing, it's important to both relax as well as squeeze your pelvic floor muscles. It becomes an experience of creating pleasure rather than just a mechanical exercise. And the other important tool is to also work with your breathing. I know you've probably heard us say it before, but the more you breathe, the more you activate your pleasure. And so
and the type of breath as well.
So a long deep breath, and making sound as you exhale. Give yourself permission to actually make a sound, because the vibrations in your throat set up a vibration in your G-spot, in your energy body. So don't be afraid to give yourself permission to
and if you're worried about sound, and you really find it's happening and sound is important for you, and you're worrying about sound, you can, you know, just put a pillow or something over your mouth and scream into the pillow, or, you know, make a noise into that. You don't have to
just blow your nose.
Yeah. I'll let that one go. And it's important to give yourself permission to make the sound and not try to stifle it. And you're better off, you know, putting pillow over your mouth and have the sound, than trying to, you know, sort of keep it quiet, because the sound is really important. The other thing it's important too, like if you're using, you know, sex toys like a vibrator or something like that, overuse of the vibrator will actually numb the G-spot out. So, you know, the vibrators are really good to start, But once you get started, is to stop using and using something else, because the vibration all the time will numb. Over time, this repeated use will numb out the G-spot. We've had a few people complain about that, and just something to bring into your awareness that they're good to start, but they do have a use by date, particularly on the G-spot.
So if you're used to using a vibrator and you find that's the only way that you can orgasm or experience sensation, it can be a good idea just to start just before you get to that peak of orgasm, is just to move from the vibrator into a wand or to your fingers, so that you don't really need much to take you over the edge, and then slowly with time just pull away from the vibrator earlier and earlier, and just get used to the more slower, subtle touch of your fingers or the wand. So, and then you can go back to using the vibrator again, just vary it. That's the main thing. It's just not overusing any one particular technique.
And the other thing that comes with the G-spot as well, the important thing to really take note of this at the moment is pornography. Don't take any notice of what you see in the porn, or reading novels or romance books or anything like that. This is totally different, and the porn, the way that they put the sexual act in the porn, it's just total rubbish. It's got absolutely nothing to do with what real life lovemaking is about, and finding the G-spot. So if you're a young guy and you're learning your techniques of watching porn, the good news is that you're taking notice, but the bad news is that the real life has got nothing to do with whatever goes into the making of porn. And I feel sad that porn is having such a big influence, because it's rubbish that's put up there, but it's very hard to find good quality porn. There is some out there, and it's becoming more popular, but it's very, very hard to find. And with the G-spot, is to be aware that women do ejaculate, and the G-spot is the stimulation and the pathway into to feeling your ejaculation, and actually to ejaculate. And sometimes there can be a lot of fluid, like in some women, it's up to 3/4 of a litre is possible, and that's a lot of fluid, and it can come out with a rush, and that's perfectly normal, and all women are capable of that. Not all women achieve it. Not all women are aware that this is possible. It's awakening your G-spot is also awakening your ability to ejaculate. And the important thing is that don't force the ejaculating part. Don't force it.
It's not a party trick. It's really a gift of pleasure and a gift of surrender. It's not something that needs to be forced just to perform. It's really an experience. Can you just allow yourself to relax? Because it's often a woman will feel that urge to pee, which can be the first sign that there is fluid building up in her.
And life in the G-spot.
Yeah, that's right. Women have a prostate gland that sits around the urethra, the tube that runs from the bladder to the outside of the woman's body, and just the same as a man does. And that's where this ejaculate fluid comes from. But often if a woman if you haven't heard of that, you might think that you're peeing, and you're going to pee, and so the instant reaction to that is clamped down. But if you trust that, if you really relax and just allow it to flow, then it's not pee. They've done studies where they've actually had women ejaculate, and they've given them a blue dye that actually comes out of the body through the urine. So they've actually videotaped the woman ejaculating clear fluid, and can sometimes have a bit of a milky appearance as well, milky white experience.
The first few times.
Yeah, and then the urine was blue. So definitely it's a little bit also like if you think of a guy trying to pee when he has an erection, the arousal closes off the urethra in a male, and it's really similar with a woman when her labial tissues are swollen. It's much harder for her to actually urinate. So just give yourself permission to see if you can let go and allow that delicious ejaculation be released from you. There's something about the feeling of that release, that's a whole body experience. There's something about it really allows you as a woman to connect with yourself, and it's really a self-love experience, that the pleasure and the opening that seems to happen in this part of you. So again, a little bit more taking a little bit more time, but so worth it.
And if you're worried that you're making a mess, and for the woman, you're not going to pee yourself. So and if you're worried about making a mess, put some towels down. And
it can be helpful to have a pee before you start to explore, so you know that it's not going to be that probably.
Yeah, and if you're if you've been playing for a while and you feel like you need to have another pee, go and have another pee. Just put your mind at rest, so that when you do feel it coming, that you are comfortable, that that you're on the right track. And it just takes awareness and practice, and after a while, the woman does realise the difference, and there is a difference in the feeling, and what's happening. So looking after yourself and taking it carefully and cautiously is okay. Put some towels down and put yourself at ease. Just take your time and see what happens.
And there is quite a delicious money stroke that a partner can offer around, if it's feeling like the arousal is really happening. It's being in a position where you can actually have the fleshy part of your palm sitting over your partner's clitoral area, and then you've got your two fingers inside,
or
one finger inside, like that, and you're using that finger on the G-spot as you're actually moving the rest of your hand. And so that's having the fleshy part of your hand moving over the clitoris just lightly, the firmer pressure on your finger that's inside on the G-spot. Like that. Yeah. And then just moving, that's a good look there, just moving the hand backwards and forwards so that you're stimulating the side to side movement is one that really seems to stimulate that release of the ejaculate more than just the tapping or the up and down movement. That side to side half moon movement seems to have a direct response with the.
And just play with it, like it's different. And the first thing is to find the G-spot, one step at a time, to find it, activate it, play with it, get to feel what it's like, in your lovemaking, and it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of different techniques. And the main thing with the G-spot is to realise that less is more. So it's slow down and to actually explore, and that it's less effort, less touch. And if you're lovemaking to the G-spot and you're inside, it's slowly, purposely, but slowly, gently, with presence. It's not, it's not a fast. That's not all. It doesn't, it's okay for a little while, at the right moment or something. But lovemaking to the G-spot is more of a slow rocking motion, and it's the presence and the connection that you have with your partner that actually brings the G-spot out. It's a whole new, different way of actually making love, but it's a lot more sensual, it's a lot deeper, it's a lot more orgasmic, and is a lot less effort. So you can go for longer with less, a lot less friction. And if you're getting towards, if you're in your 40s or something like that, or even younger, don't be afraid to use lubricant. If in doubt, use lubricant. It takes a lot of the stress, a lot of the tension, and it's something that you can put to mind. And fellas, if your partner feels a little bit subconscious, he thinks she should be wet enough, don't you? She doesn't want to use the lube. Just use it anyway, and just take it out of the equation. And
because a woman can be aroused and not highly lubricated, and she can be highly lubricated and not particularly aroused. So it's just taking that. If there's any uncertainty, is there's no shame in using lubricant.
And that pretty much is a very practical guide to looking at the G-spot. And is there anything else you want to?
Yeah, just a couple of things about the position that you're making love in. As far as awakening the G-spot, a woman on top, it will often find that it's easier for her to start to feel her G-spot, largely because she can kind of position herself around, try different positions, particularly with her legs down, so lying out straight, or her knees up beside her partner's chest can be a good position. Just give yourself permission to move around and explore.
And try which ones work for you. And
doggy style is also a good one to help activate, just because of the position, and also lying on your back with your legs up, basically the ankles behind the ears, just depending on your particular physical makeup and your partner's physical makeup. And
try a whole heap of, just try everything, try different positions and find which ones work for you. And you might find there might be 2 or 3 or 4 different positions that really work. And it might change too, because sometimes one position might work even better. But the main thing is to actually just try it and see what happens and see how that feels. And but the first step is to bring the G-spot awake, bring it alive and bring it out. And when we ask women, have you ever felt your G-spot? And some say, I think so. That's a no. If you felt it, you felt it, you know. So if you think if you're a fence sitter, it's probably no, you haven't. But everybody's got one. It's all possible, and it's probably one of the best team sports you can actually bring into your relationship, because it's a connection game. It's a team sport of connection, the G-spot. And for the woman to really get her G-spot going and whatever, it'll really bring the man and his skills into play as well. So, fellas, you've really got to be on your toes with your skills, either feeling more, lasting longer, or if it's getting it up and maintaining an erection, or whatever your issue is. You may be one of the lucky guys that doesn't have any of those issues and can make love. Not many of you are like that, but there are some out there. The majority of us have had issues and have had to learn these skills. And again, those skills are not hard to learn. And the next webinar we do will be focused on men and how to learn to meet a woman in lovemaking with these skills. The other thing we'd like to encourage you too is that at any stage, if you're watching this, and you've got questions, is to send us an email, and we'll include your questions in the next webinars.
info@oztantra.com.
So yeah, and again, thank you for watching us, and
just being aware that if you do go down the pathway of exploring your G-spot, it really makes a difference. A well-satisfied woman is a joy to have around. She will blossom all over the house, all over the family, all over you as your male lover. She will want more of you. So definitely a gift to the world is a well-satisfied woman, and that's usually something to do with the G-spot.
Yeah, and with Oz Tantra, these are the skills that we teach couples in our work. We teach communication and emotional skills, but we also teach these skills, because what's the point of having good connection and communication if the sex life is average? We want our clients to have good communication, good emotional skills, and an amazing love life, an amazing sex life. And if you want to know more, get on our website and log into our newsletter. Because our newsletter is sent out, it's all free, and the webinars are also free, and they're promoted through our newsletter. So get on our mailing list and stay in the loop. And on our website, all our previous webinars are also available through our website. Just follow the links. So again, thank you very much, and
good night.
Good evening.